Hello, welcome to Totally Random. It's beer o'clock, so time for a beer. And you might be wondering, why are you looking at a picture of a landscape? What you're looking at is Mount Kangaroo. Well, I'll back that truck up a little bit. What you're looking at is an extinct volcano. It's in the scenic rim in southeast Queensland. This mountain here is Mount Castle. We'll get to that bit, but hashtag SUYS, show us your state. So another Locksporter tagged me in this unknowingly, and so be it. So I'm going to just talk about this and ramble on for about 5 minutes. So if you're not interested in this, click out now and go watch another Locksport video. This has got something to do with Locksport, but it's also about men's mental health. So, and everyone needs to keep a check of themselves one way or another. It's important for yourself, it's important for your family, for your friends, your children, and whoever you come in contact with, basically. So, I'm going to pause this for a moment, and I'm going to come back. Okay, so what's it all about? Men's mental health, getting out in the bush. This photo I took maybe 25 years ago on old film, if you would believe it or not. Back in the days when you could buy a disposable camera, and yeah, I basically took 3 shots. So there was 1, 2 and 3, and someone else who had a copy of the negatives as a gift to me many years ago photoshopped them basically into a nice panorama cinematographic looking view. So you've got the peaks of all of some of the best mountains in southeast Queensland. I've been on top of all of them, done the scenic rim twice. It's 2.5, 3 times. It starts at Mount Brummel out the back of Laidley, goes all the way to the Kugels, the east and the west Kugel, down near Springbrook. So over many weekends, over years, friends and I would get together, we'd plan our attack, so to speak. We'd get dropped off a few Ks behind where, well, probably 10K, 15K behind where this photo was taken. Climb that mountain, travel to the spot, and if you're lucky, depending on when it's winter or summer, if it's summer you might get to the peak of Castle by the end of the day. But depending if you set off late, you might end up just down there. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a fence line that runs along there in a bit of a clearing. And there's farms down over on that side. I just realised I'm covering up the whole thing with my bloody arm. Lakes, well, not lakes, but dams over in between a couple of the mountains, Edwards and Greville, over on the other side there. And you've got Mount Warning as well. Well, that's the centre of the extinct volcano. So you can imagine the fun times you could have just being so far from anyone, like 20, 25 years ago. Before mobile phones, before all this tech and all this bullshit was in people's faces, where you needed a phone purely for safety reasons. A lot of people have died. We lost a couple of climbers in southeast Queensland just in the last month or so, on Governor's Chair, which is a part of Mount Barney, and I've done that as a kid. And it boggles the mind, but when you've been there, you understand. You can't. Well, I don't know the situation, so I'm not going to comment. But yeah, safety is ultimate when it comes to scaling cliff faces and things like that. I particularly love this mountain. There's a little bit of water in there, but it's low, so you only drink from the highest point. Laidley Creek Falls, which is further on. That's another lovely mountain. So what I'm going to do now is probably stop rambling on. Just, that's not the sun, that's just a reflection from the light on the camera. Anyway, if you get the chance, go to the beach, go, you know, I love fishing, I love climbing mountains too, but you get the chance, just go out. I mean, one night, my friend and I, we were looking for one of those type of raves out in a paddock, probably somewhere around there, but a bit over those hills. We didn't find it, but our plan was to climb this mountain anyway, and on top of the mountain, because we'd actually been in the paddock the day before, we were just there a bit too early and went, fuck it, we'll climb the mountain. We sat on top of a mountain, and yeah, there was one of those good old school raves going on in the valley below. So, you know, we had a radio, but we also had free music, and it was interesting. So, it's interesting enough that you'll go, well, personally, I've been back to these places several, you know, time and time again, like silly times for certain places, but, you know, I've been on the top of this one 3 times, so that's good. And that part there is known as the Boar's Head, and there's a thing there, apparently it's fallen down now, I haven't been there for a while, but it was called the Hole in the Wall. It was a big open part, and you could stick your head in one side and get a photo. So, yeah, there's all sorts of interesting things you'll find in the bush. And yeah, I hope you can just get a decent view of that. That's a good half-day walk just to the top of Mount Kangaroo before you even get down there and walk out the other side. So I'd go into the bush for 2 or 3 days, pop out the other side, someone would pick us up, or we'd do another thing, which was a changeover, where we'd leave a car at one end and another crew would start walking where we were going to end up, and we would cross paths, make sure everyone was okay. We'd be in radio contact most of the time, and also the odd telephone call if we had a mobile at that time. And then the other crew would pick up the car, we'd pick up their car, exchange keys in, obviously in the middle or whatever. And yeah, both head on back to base where we took off from. So the next 2 videos are just going to be me rambling, talking about some steaks that I cut up years ago. And short of taking the old hip flask, this down there, and which is a bit of a journey at the moment. Yeah, I thought I'd just share this picture because only a few people get to see it. Now the fucking whole internet can see it. But I love those mountains, I love those hills. And I call them hills because compared to, you know, everything else, perspective-wise, you think about K2, places where I know we've all lost other climbers, you know, Everest and whatever. These are hills. These are eroded hills. But they are fun nonetheless, and they're great places for a bit of contemplation, quiet, peace. You know, at worst you'll hear the odd light plane. You know? Anyway. There'll be 2 more videos of me being silly cooking steak, and then I'll get back to locks. Anyway, totally random locks and picks. Show us your steak. There's 100 odd subscribers. At least 3 is good. You know, show us a steak, I reckon. So maybe have a go. There's no pressure involved. I shouldn't have even said that bit because now there is pressure. Tricky. Anyway, 10 minutes is going on well long enough, but if you've lost a friend or had anything personal to deal with yourself, you know how important this stuff is, and not a lot of blokes like to talk about stuff, you know, so you need to get shit out of your system one way, otherwise you're going to blow up. Anyway, totally random locks and picks. Show us your steak. Peace. I'm out. Catch us. Bye.